Now, with more defined global and regional regulations, rising consumer awareness, as well as increasing environmental, social, and governance ESG related risk factors, financial services firms look to incorporate these ESG factors into their products, policies, and processes. However, advocates and practitioners face challenges in showing business value, measuring progress, and standard operating. In our next session, PC Chakravarti from Accenture will share with you their latest report on Driven Forward, APAC's Tech First Road to Sustainable Finance, to help us understand the challenges, opportunities, and current sustainable finance actions practitioners take for the banking sector in Asia Pacific. PC, the stage is yours.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to viewers. This is PC Chakravarti from Accenture. Firstly, I wanted to welcome all of you to the first day of Singapore FinTech Festival. I'm actually here to make a very special announcement. Given the importance of sustainability and the fact that this is, as United Nations calls it, 2020, the decade of action to deliver on the Sustainable Development Goals, we at Accenture are very serious about how we work with our clients on driving sustainability across the transformation that many organizations are going through, and also becoming more sustainable ourselves, right? This is at a very crucial time. COP26 is going on in Glasgow. The recent IPCC reports have come out to show that, the time for urgent action is now. We strongly believe in that view, and under the leadership of our CEO, Julie Sweet, and Chief Sustainability Officer, Peter Lacey, we have really sharpened our focus on driving sustainable transformation. As part of that, we are really working hard to embed sustainability into all the work we do with our clients and ourselves. And we do hope that we can partner with like-minded firms and individuals to drive this transformation. Now, as part of that global agenda on driving sustainability, here in Singapore, I'm quite excited today to announce the launch of a new report that we have worked with our partners at Forrester called Driven Forward, APAC's Tech First Road to Sustainable Finance. And this is a report that is very close to my heart. It is something to cover a broad number of issues that we are facing in the industry related to sustainable finance. And what you will find in the report is a view from many of the leading voices in this space around how they look at the opportunity, how they look at the challenges, and what can be done to accelerate the transformation, especially related to sustainable finance. Today, what I'd like to do in this brief session is give the viewers a quick overview of the key messages or key highlights from the report. And of course, the report is available to anybody who wants to access it. And if you have any questions, feel free to talk to us. Okay, so let me start off this discussion, this quick overview, by just defining how we think about sustainable finance, right? When we in Accenture talk about sustainable finance, we talk of it in the context of the inclusion of ESG criteria in business or investment decisions for the long-lasting benefit of clients, partners, stakeholders, and society at large. And this is quite an important one, this is a fundamental shift we are seeing in finance. Which is the need for banks and financial institutions and the service providers around them to not only look at financial or economic criteria, but to start looking at ESG related criteria and data to actually make decisions on where to allocate capital and how to invest in the future. And that is a fundamental shift that is happening in banking, and we are excited to be at the heart of it. The first key message, and it is not surprising to many, but it is important to reiterate, is that sustainable finance is becoming a top strategic priority for financial institutions in Asia Pacific. And as you can see from the data, 38% of the respondents have said that sustainable finance is the top strategic priority for their firm, and many of them, about 25%, have also said that they have formed that sustainable finance is part of their strategic agenda, right? So clearly, a majority of the companies in this space are thinking of sustainable finance as an important strategic part of their agenda. And if you can see, over time, that number will only keep on increasing. And therefore, it becomes more and more embedded in the strategic agenda of financial institutions in APAC. The reason for driving this change is actually not just driven by governments and regulators, which many of us think of when it first comes to mind, but actually by a whole set of stakeholders, starting with the investors, the customers, and the suppliers and business partners of these firms, and the broader consumers and communities that they work in. And so you can see that this is not just a single dimensional challenge that companies have to face. There are many stakeholders involved. Many of them have a strong voice on what needs to happen. And therefore, as companies think about their strategic agenda, sustainable finance not just becomes an important aspect of it, but it has to solve for the needs of these different stakeholders. Right? Here, what we are talking about is the fact that in the last 12 to 18 months, the COVID-19 pandemic has actually accelerated the focus on sustainable finance. And it is not really a surprise to many, but I think what we are finding is that and my discussions with many of these companies and clients, what we're finding is that COVID-19 has highlighted the global nature of impact that can happen when you have a natural calamity in one part of the world. And if you think about it, climate change and sustainability is a similar challenge, although it is playing out a little bit slower than the pandemic, but it has the same issues where an impact or negative action in one part of the world drives impact somewhere else. And so it has shown COVID-19 has shown the interconnectedness of the world and the global community, and it is therefore quite an important, and has made people realize that focusing on sustainability in any part of the world is becoming important, not just in the developed world or in larger economies, but in all countries and all parts of the world, right? And as you can see here, from an institution's perspective, the majority of the institutions believe that COVID-19 has accelerated the drive towards sustainable finance. So we expect a lot more momentum in the near future in this space. So with the momentum comes the barriers and challenges that we have to overcome. And we also got some useful insights from the respondents on what is really challenging us in going faster, right? And if you look at it, these are the top 5 reasons why, which is preventing us from going faster. And as you can see, broadly, most of these are related to a lack of skill and talent, or people behind the transformation. The scale and scope of the transformation is large, and that is making people hesitate. And therefore, because it's a big people challenge and a talent challenge, and it's at a large scale, it requires a lot of support and funding. And last but not the least, a good, reliable set of data sets to actually help companies make decisions. And so these challenges, we believe, that come up at the start of many large transformations. It is not something which is unique in the ESG space. However, having said that, what we do believe is that given the importance that you saw in the previous slides that I presented, we do believe that many companies are actively working to overcome these challenges in terms of acquiring the skills and talents, in terms of putting together the budget and funding to support it, and in addressing the data issues that prevent them from making good decisions related to ESG today. This is a page which is quite important because it paints a picture of how we are thinking about the road ahead, given all the challenges and the mandate and the importance of sustainable finance. And as you can see here, what we have laid out is 2 sets of priorities, about the immediate sets of priorities as reported by the respondents, and the 12 to 24 month view as well, the midterm view. And what we find is, the one interesting insight is that across both the near term and the medium term, offering sustainable finance products has gone to the most important strategic initiatives in this space. And I think this is quite encouraging for many green fintech firms and other fintech players who are interested in building products and services in this space, because this is the time is ripe for the products and solutions you're working on. And I would urge all of you to go and actively engage with the larger financial institutions and with the broader community to actually think of innovative products and solutions. And I think it's going to be a very exciting space in the next weeks and months. In addition to that, if you look at the immediate priorities, the need to increase transparency of sustainability efforts is becoming more important. And here, what we mean by that is how do large firms make their sustainability efforts more transparent to the broader community? How do they communicate it well? And how do they actually ensure that helps them to show the amount of progress that they're making with all their stakeholders, their investors, their shareholders, the broader communities, their customers, and their partners, right? And that means really upping the game on communication, understanding where your partners stand in terms of social responsibility and ESG related practices is also becoming important. So companies are not just thinking about themselves in a standalone way, but also all the partners they work with and how well are their partners managing the sustainability agenda. And we believe this is going to become an increasingly important factor as they make decisions of who to partner with and for what. So with that, I think we come to the end of our introductory session on this fantastic report. I want to say thank you and have a great Singapore FinTech Festival.